Hi, I'm Gia, and this is Keto Fitness and Everything Inbetween. We'll be joined by me and some of my best keto friends, Lauren, Anna, and Shannon, as well as special guests every week. We hope that you enjoy the show, and please review us and subscribe. Okay, right, let's get on with this week's episode. Right, there we go. We are recording.
Right. Do you want to go first or shall I go first?
I mean, you go first, Shannon.
All right, I'm going to kick it off.
You
right.
Kick it off.
All right, so I'm Shannon. So I started keto January 2019, so it's like a year and a half ago now. So I started because I got to a point where I was like, I really need to do something about like my weight and like all my health. And it was the only thing that I was sort of like left to try restricting like sugar. So I started as like a New Year's resolution, and I've kind of just like never looked back from there, really.
Solid.
I mean, this is the thing. Like, we're all here because these other diets just didn't work, and I feel like keto was just the last point where we were like, oh, maybe we should just try that. And then, I mean, for me, like, I know it's just been like the end, because I started around the same time as you, Shannon, but it was a bit of a roller coaster because so from January until like, I want to say the summer of, it was like heavy, like clean keto, and I was losing the weight, but it just wasn't in a healthy way. So we're kind of trying to get back on track now. But I mean, I'm from a background of binge eating and like high calorie deficit, orthorexia, like those kind of tendencies. So yeah, I mean, obviously, like I've started doing vegan keto just to try and limit my dairy, and to be honest, like especially lowering dairy and meat, it's been like a whole new world of just really, really clean eating. So I've been loving it. But what about you, Anna?
So mine's an odd one. So I kind of accidentally did keto when I first started. Like I don't think I realised. So when I first started losing weight, it was like January 2016, and I started on the whole calorie deficit and like training and working out kind of thing. And I got to a point where I was training so much that I just wasn't hungry. Like as soon as I start training or go for a run or something, like my hunger just isn't there. So I was training before and after work, and in a day I'd have like 500 calories. So I think by just having like 500 calories, and it was always low carb anyway, like I didn't really eat bread or pasta or anything, like I was just in ketosis. So I didn't actually like start off trying to be like low carb or keto. It kind of happened, but like the weight just dropped off. But then because like I wasn't in that mindset of having low carb and, you know, keto, whatever, like I eat normally at the weekends. And then there was like a point, I think it was in like April 2017, I was like, right, I'm actually going to do keto because I saw one of my friends do it for like bikini competitions, and I was like, this diet is fab. Like, yeah, it was just a case of losing so much weight so quickly, but it didn't feel like dangerous, and it also didn't feel like a hard diet to follow. So yeah, that was when I first really got into it, and I've kind of gone on and off it, you know, over the last 3 years. But like I came back to it in lockdown, and I can't see myself coming off it, to be honest now, especially with how many alternatives there are for like breads and, you know, sweets and cakes and stuff. So definitely can't see myself going back now.
Oh, I didn't know that about you, Anna. I didn't know that you'd like done it for so long, like over such a long period of time. I thought it was only something that like recently that you've done. I didn't know that.
Yeah, because like I said, it was completely accidental. Like I had no intention of But I think like when I look back, because of like I had but eating so little, because I used to just track everything on MyFitnessPal, and when I used to look like eating between like 500 and 1,000 calories a day, but also being so full of energy and like ready to go at any time, and how active I was, like I look back now and that was like that can't have been anything other than ketosis.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was accidental, but yeah, I look back now and that's definitely what it was.
Accidental ketosis.
I mean, for sure, because isn't that how like the 5-2 diets work and stuff, where they're just like so low calorie on those days, so then you're
it was like
gonna burn fat. Yeah,
it was like reverse 5-2, because 5-2 is like 5 days eating normally and 2 days keto, like 2 days low, but mine was the opposite. Almost like I'd eat, more normally and like high calories at the weekend being social, but then in the week it was like really low calorie, but I take it. Like I definitely wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't say to someone like follow this, but if it, it just kind of fell that way, and that's how it went. So
I feel like it's so much easier to do keto now because there's so many other alternatives. I feel like if this was like a decade ago, people just wouldn't have even bothered to try it because like Atkins was so like all the rage.
Yeah, 100%. And even just in the last 3 years, like the amount of alternatives that are out there. I mean, those carb zone tortillas, all of the pastas, the rice, like there's just so much out there now that it's harder. Well, it's hard not to give it a try.
To be honest, like I'm surprised I haven't even tried carb zone yet. Like seeing your post all the time, I'm like, I need to try it. I know. But like with all the alternatives out there, like you're saying, it's like it's really easy to like find them now. I've only actually just started looking into those brands recently, because of like going into lockdown, it made me like look into it more. But I was literally just like bobbing along for like a year and a half, just like clean keto, like kind of doing it on my own, like with no other recipes or anything. I was just kind of like literally eating meat and salad.
I think it's really good to start that way, because I think if you're dependent upon breads and pastas of low carb, like I think it kind of takes away from it. Because when I first started, it was all just like veg and meat and cheese, and I think that's yeah, of course cheese, of course cheese. But yeah, I think like doing it that way is so much better, because then you reintroduce, because otherwise it's like, if you just see some bread out or something, it's like, oh, I just, I don't know, I think it's like a mindset.
And I feel like you're not able to get out of that mindset, especially when there are companies like ones that we won't name, where people were literally relying on it to have this almost like regular diet. But it still included all of these like random like low carb alternatives.
Yeah, sometimes it's just not even worth like going there, and it's just sort of like, I personally find trying not to have too many alternatives, because it's just not the same. Like I feel like sometimes if I just do want to have carbs occasionally, I'll treat myself to a small portion of like the real thing and just enjoy it more, instead of like lowering my expectations on like what the real thing really is.
Yeah, 100%. And I also find like when I have the alternative, because I don't really have that many alternatives, like the two things that I really have is like staple are the carb zone wraps, which I probably have like one a week, and deliciously guilt-free for a good snack, because we know they're great. But they're like the only two things I have. But when I tend to have like wraps, because when I first got the wraps, like I was obsessed with them. I was like, oh my god, these are great. And like cheese toasties and all kinds of things, but it kind of took away from feeling full and satisfied. So it still kind of, to me, acts as though it is carby. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so it almost kind of feels like you're not really like keto-y-ish, even though you know that it's like low carb. Like it kind of makes you feel like you're not really eating a low carb diet. Yeah,
definitely. And I also just feel like it never, I don't know, it's really weird, because they're great and I really, really recommend them. But at the same time, I'm just like, I think you've got to limit them.
Yeah, I feel like you should be having the mindset that that's a treat, even the alternatives.
Yeah. Definitely, like even I love deliciously guilt-free, like I absolutely love it, but I have to try really hard not to like eat the whole box as soon as it comes. So I'm like, they are so low carb, I'm like, great, I'm gonna fill my boots and I'm gonna have like 4 or 5, and I'm like, no, Shannon, just have one, make them last longer.
I always want to do a Lauren and have like 3 at a time, always, but I limit them. I do 1 at a time.
But like Lauren will do 3 at a time, but just like once a week.
Yeah, that's it.
rather than having like, you know, the whole pack within the week, which I mean, I've done it, but you know, I wouldn't recommend it.
I don't think you've done deliciously guilt-free properly if you've not done them all in a week.
I mean, like, yeah, exactly. And especially when I started, and then I finally found like, oh, there's a vegan keto brownie that I can buy. Like, I'm also gonna go for it.
How do you? I've never actually talked about this, Gia. So how do you find doing keto like with vegan as well? So like with limiting your meat and your dairy. Like, do you find that you still like find like food okay? Like finding your meals all right?
Yeah, I mean, Mexican food is always such a go-to because you add like tofu to tacos or something. Like it's not going to change it that much, but and you're still going to be able to enjoy it. And obviously, like, still have avocados and the soybean pasta from Aldi as well.
Oh my god, I love it! I literally had that today. It's so good.
I need to try that. That's the one thing I've not tried.
Have you not? It's amazing. It's so good. Like it's the closest one that I found to like normal spaghetti, because I had konjac spaghetti for a while and it was okay, like, and I'll still have it, but that one is just
it's bomb.
Good. It's bomb.
And all of these like vegan pestos and stuff, they just have like a ton of protein in them anyway, so even if you just like add a little bit to some pasta, it's great.
I really like all the vegan stuff that's come out recently as well, because like, you know, saying, you know, all the low carb stuff is really like taking a step up. So is all the vegan stuff. Like the meal I had earlier was vegan Greek kebab, and that stuff it's just delicious. And I've got loads of, how do you say it, tempeh? Tempeh.
Yeah.
Loads of tempeh in the fridge and smoked tofu, and I just love it. The one thing I need to invest in though is a tofu press, because at the minute I'm like balancing it in a tea towel with loads of books and things.
I've never tried tofu. I've never tried it.
It's on, if you do it wrong, it's just naff. It's horrible. It's just like really weird texture, but you just got to like drain as much moisture out of it as you possibly can.
Just think overcooked scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
Right.
If you do it wrong, but if you do it right, like, it's really good.
What would you say that it's like most similar to? Like, or is it just kind of like its own
thing?
I
don't think it's similar to anything. I think it's like tofu is really good because it just absorbs moisture and absorbs whatever taste. So like if you marinate it, it will literally just take the taste of whatever you've marinated it in. So that's like what it's really good for. It holds
texture of like you know, like the worst quality turkey dinosaurs.
Yeah.
That's the look and that's the texture, but then yeah, as Anna said, as soon as you put anything like nice.
But you know, it's really good like calorie wise as well. So good calorie wise. That's what I find with the vegan stuff. That's why I'm doing like more vegan things, more veggie meals, because like the calories are so low.
And so then you can add the fat, but you don't like, well, when you've got chicken thighs or something, you don't really know how many calories they are. Like, let's be honest, like when you've got a bone, it could be a really small bone, it could be a massive bone, you could have a massive layer of fat, like you don't know how that chicken was raised.
Yeah.
Are we like all on the same page here as well, that like although we all are keto and low carb, are we all still like mindful of like calorie deficit and like not like, yeah, we all like on the same page there?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Calories don't exist.
I feel like recently though, I've seen so many people just like talking about how important like just general calorie deficit is, and just that even though we're keto, it's not an excuse to just like you can't just eat however much you want to. And I didn't realize that when I first started. Like when I first started, I was like, pork belly. I'd eat like a whole pack of pork belly, and I was probably eating so many calories when I first started, and I didn't even realize. But then when I actually like really researched into what I was doing, I was like, oh my god, I'm actually eating so much.
It's crazy. The thing is, it's easy to eat it when it's fat, isn't it? Like fat carries the most amount of calories. But do you feel like you still lost weight? But this is the one thing that I found crazy, because when I went onto keto as well, is like just how many calories you eat, but then how much weight you lose at the same time. So that makes you think like, how many calories am I actually burning in a day?
Yeah. And I feel like when I first started, even though I was eating loads of calories on keto, I think I just lost weight because of like I went into ketosis, and because I had a lot of weight to lose, it was just falling off me quickly. And then a few months went by, and the weight just like, I had like a big stall, and like I wasn't losing anything. And then I like really reevaluated like what I was eating, and that's when I started using my fitness pal for the first time, and I was like, that'll be why.
Oh Lord.
Oh Lord. I was like eating more calories than Tom at one point, and I was like, okay, I really need to like look at what I'm doing. And I've like felt so much better since I've like looked at like portion control as well. And I feel like I've got the full benefits of ketosis now, because I'm like more awake, I'm more alert, I've got more energy. So yeah, I find it so good just like keeping mindful of calories.
Yeah, definitely. It is really important, because I mean, I see these people having like 1,000 calorie like drinks, because they're just like dumping in a ton of cream and then they put like protein powder, whatever, like kind of concoction. But if you're drinking all of that before like 12 o'clock, like you've barely got any, you've got like what, another 1,000 left, and that's with you probably exercising, and you still want to lose weight. Like it can't happen like that, and it's not satiating at all.
Yeah. One of the things that I find like the most baffling is how simple calorie deficit is. And just around education of food, you know what I mean? Like, this has this many calories, this is how you work it out, this is how you can track. Like, imagine if that was instilled in us like within PE lessons at school or biology. How much different would the whole UK be?
I feel like growing up I really needed to hear those lessons, and like that just wasn't drilled into me in school. And I lived with my nan for a while, and she was like an overfeeder, so I was just like always eating.
My nan was such a feeder, I can't even tell you. I used to come home, my parents used to bring me home at lunchtime to feed me like adult portion meals. I'm not joking, because my nan never thought that I was getting enough at school, so I used to come home at lunchtime and have, you know, a huge meal. I mean, like a huge roast dinner at lunchtime.
What, and then go back to school?
Yeah, go back to school. Mad. And I'm like, no wonder I was the size that I was.
I feel like that's why I love keto though, because I can still like eat like the foods I like, and I feel like I'm not really too restricted now. Like I still like enjoy the dinners I eat, and I can still like, if I want to, I can have a big meal and like really enjoy it still.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like like the flavors and the taste are just so much more. I think it's just like a richer diet. But one of the things that I always find as well is when I come onto keto, and like when I do keto properly, I always feel healthier, because like my meals, I always do salads just because I'm lazy and I can't be bothered to cook vegetables. But if I'm not doing a salad, then I'll, you know, just stir fry some broccoli or some veg. Like I always find that, because like you've got your main protein part of the meal, but then the side of it is always, it's always got to be something green. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not just going to be stodgy carbs or, you know, something thrown in the oven like chips or whatever.
I've got to say that your salads are always so good. Like I always see you posting them on your stories, and I'm like, how does she make them so colourful?
I made a banging one today. I think this will be like the salad that I go forward with, and it was literally just like loads of coriander and parsley just chopped up with loads of like tomatoes, onions, and loads of lemon on it. Like that, I think like herb salad is definitely my go-to now. I think it's better than just
and your like massive Isle of Wight tomatoes, they look so good. I definitely need to try those.
Yeah, definitely. Less so. Apparently Marks and Spencer's selling them now as well, like the biggest.
Really?
So instead of having to order like £25 worth at a time, like 3 kilograms, like you can just get a few. So you don't have to don't waste them, but you know what I mean, like you don't have to rush to eat them.
Yeah, I found like that I was buying so much more produce. Like I don't know about you guys, but like I probably wasted maybe a bit too much. I mean, because I was the only one doing it in my flat at uni, and I found that when you want such a variation in your diet, you're never going to be able to eat like every single thing, and I feel like I maybe missed out on like meal planning, and so I'm kind of like moving more towards like some frozen veg, just so that like just for like more, you know.
I think frozen veg is better anyway. Like I think it's easier to prep. Like I tend, if I get veg, I tend to go to frozen veg. or if not, like I just get like the tender stem broccoli kind of thing. But yeah, I just think it's so much better because they freeze it as soon as it's as soon as it's picked, so it's almost fresher in a way as well.
Yeah, and definitely, and like my other issue is that you see all these people doing these beautiful meals, and then you want to recreate that at home, but you have to have like 20 different ingredients, but that's for each one. So by the end of the week, you've just got like a whole fridge full of stuff that you probably won't get through. So it is really important to start like slow and easy and like similar recipes. I know like people want variation, but ones that have crossover ingredients.
Yeah, that's what I do. Like I've got a little book and I literally just plan like 2 meals a day. And what I've started doing is kind of whatever I cook in the morning, like I'll have in the evening. So like I have a day with like similar food. So like I do pork belly and I just have a slice in the morning and a slice in the evening. And then I can just mix up the salad or just make a big salad for the day. And even though you don't get as much variation, I find it so much better. And it's like, I just feel more conscious because we waste so much less.
Yeah, I feel like with me, I like going on to low carb, I've actually saved so much money on my food shopping because of meal prep and like planning out what I'm having in advance. So for me, I always have like a similar breakfast. I always have like coconut yogurt, strawberries, just like a handful of strawberries and a couple of blueberries and maybe some keto granola. And then I always have a salad for lunch because it's just like easy. And then for dinner, that's when I'll have like my bigger meal. I'll cook with curry or some sort of like keto spaghetti or something like that. But I always have like the same breakfast and lunch. And by doing that, I feel like it helps my body get into a routine as well. So although it looks boring, I still enjoy it.
Yeah, I think as long as like you don't get bored of it, I think it's the way to go.
I mean, if you scroll through my Instagram like to the beginning, you'll see that I was trying like 3 new recipes a day, which is just ridiculous. So literally it was a breakfast, lunch and dinner, and I feel like if you begin that way and then you don't make it easy for yourself, it is so easy just to be like, oh yeah, do you know what, I'm just gonna buy some like carbs or something and just like make pasta, because there's like this thing that's it's like decision fatigue, and if you're constantly like thinking about like food and your recipe and what you're going to cook, like you literally have like no brain power for the rest of the day.
It just puts you off doing anything, and then you're just like, oh, I'm just gonna grab something easy.
It's the same like clothes. So like this is that concept is like one that I love. So I used to have my gym kit packed ready in the morning. I used to pick my clothes out for work. Like I used to do as much as I could the night before, because then like my decision bank was like full at the start of the day, instead of like trying to make 3 or 4 decisions as soon as I wake up.
That's sort of me, like going off topic here. That was me with Netflix earlier. I sat down with the remote like hung over me. I was like, I'm going to try and watch something on the telly. And I flipped through Netflix and I was going through for like over 20 minutes. And I just wasted 20 minutes because I couldn't decide what I wanted to watch. I was like, there's too many choices. I can't choose.
I feel like Netflix gone down in quality as well. I almost feel like I've watched everything that I want to watch as well.
I can't really find anything good.
You know, I was literally thinking the same thing, like because I normally watch it before I go to bed, and I literally couldn't find anything that I wanted to watch that was decent or that I hadn't already watched. Though Amazon Prime have just released Handmaid's Tale on like Prime Video, so on to that.
I think I need to try Amazon Prime. Like I think just because I've been in the Netflix trap, I've just never switched over. I did get Disney Plus, which is good, but you've really got to be in the mood for a Disney film, I think.
Yeah, Amazon Prime is good. I feel like if Netflix doesn't have something you want to watch it, Amazon Prime genuinely tends to have it.
Solid.
It's good.
Right, so that is everything this week, and let's have a little teaser of next week.
I feel like for me personally, I think Slimming World doesn't take into account like every person's body type. Like I've never actually done it, but every time I went to the doctors and I was like, I need to lose weight, help me, they're just literally like, time to do Slimming World, or they're just offered to pay for Slimming World for me.
big thank you for staying with us today. We really appreciate you listening to the podcast, and hopefully you guys have been enjoying it. And we've got some really exciting episodes coming up. So thank you.